Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Debates. I'm Ryan. We've got Dwayne. We've got Emmanuel. The NBA playoffs are coming up in a few weeks, but first, we're going to talk about some of the teams that won't be making the playoffs. Teams in rebuilds, teams that had some unfortunate collapses despite having star players, a whole variety of teams. But one thing they have in common is they will be sitting on the couches during the playoffs. Now, there's a couple teams that are technically still in the race, so there's going to be a couple teams that don't make the playoffs that we don't talk about today. It is Friday, April 4th. So right now, the Suns and the Blazers are technically still in contention. The Spurs technically aren't eliminated, but we threw them in here just because I like a nice 8 teams. That's what we're talking about today. 8 teams. And we're going to go in order of where they're projected in the draft lottery. Let's begin. First up, the Utah Jazz, currently sitting with the worst record in the NBA at 16-61. This is their third straight losing season, and they are sitting the number one draft odds. So Cooper Flag could be a Utah Jazz next year. Not too much in terms of the free agency. John Collins has a $26 million player option. His decision on that pretty much determines how much cap space they'll have. Walker Kessler is also up for an extension. However, they did give a big bag to Lauri Markkanen. He has $195 million left over the next 4 years. You've got Sexton and Clarkson on the last years of their contracts. So frees up a little bit next offseason. However, they kind of do want to still finish top 8 in the draft next year because if they don't, guess who gets their pick? The Thunder, of course. So I think they've got a bottom 8 finish in the bag next year. We'll see. But I want to just hear from you guys. I mean, what do the Jazz do this offseason? You've got a pretty competitive team. You could be in contention for Cooper Flag. Dwayne, I'll start with you. What do you think about the Jazz?
I think be patient, see where your draft pick is first. I wouldn't want them to do anything too drastic, but I feel like at the same time, since Collins has a player option, let's find a way to trade him. I feel like you trade him for better veteran guards for Keon George because he was shaping up to be a quite nice guard for them, but find a better, way of keeping that team not good, but to a point where their young guys are getting good and your record's starting to become a little and little better. And then much farther down the line, make a big trade, for star player to help with George and Laurie and who knows who they might pick up at this draft.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Try to, bring in the young guys because obviously that's what you're looking for during rebuild. Young guys, a vet to tutor them, which you saw with Oklahoma City Thunder when they brought in Chris Paul. He tutored the young guys when Shea was like second year, and a whole bunch of other guys was there, but he increased the floor. So you want a vet that can definitely increase the floor or the ceiling of these young guys and teach them the ropes there, so they're not really getting fed to the sharks with nobody to lead the team. I'm pretty likely Collins will accept that. It's the player option is 26 million. Kessler may not break the bank, but he's definitely going to get paid. I think the Jazz take like the Thunder approach, which is just trade anybody that might be valuable for draft picks or any young guys and just, keep it up that way. So their draft pick is valuable right now.
Interesting situation for going into next offseason, right? Collins, Sexton, and Clarkson, they're all over 25. Clarkson's 32. They'll all be off the books. That leaves Lauri Markkanen as your oldest player. He'll be 28 then. Everyone else will be under 25 years old still, plus whoever you draft. Doing some reading today, just kind of in the Jazz community and different blogs and stuff of what people think. People were throwing out the idea, do you shop around Lauri Markkanen and then keep that youthful core, get some more stuff from him? Or do you like him as that he's going to be your star, he's going to be your number one option and your oldest player moving forward?
I'd say shop around. I say
Mm.
shop around for Laurie Markkinen and see if you can get something there. He's 28, so depending on how long this rebuild takes, he might already be too old. At that point, you might just want to trade him now and see what you can get valuable picks instead. Sure, there's a risk to that. It might be a Paul George scenario where he gets traded and he doesn't work out for that team, and the draft picks you get are great, or it could be more like I think the Thunder to the James Harden trade, where you trade James Harden, he goes there, he's a great player, and they're doing a lot better than you are. I think it's worth a shot to shop around.
I don't think so. I think you have a promising big similar to Porzingis, and look at the Mavs when they traded Porzingis away. They're a lot worse team now than they could have been if they not only kept all their players, but just kept Porzingis. His highest potential is just a little bit better than Porzingis, in which I think because of how valuable that is in today's league, especially with the shooting and whatnot, I feel like you keep that and you kind of still build around it.
All right, next up, the Washington Wizards. You want to talk about a team that has just seemed like there's no direction for a while now. 7 straight losing seasons down in Washington. But the good thing is they're very young, right? They only have 5 players over the age of 30, and I think a lot of them are going to be out the door in the next few years. So you've got Malcolm Brogdon, he's a free agent. You've got Chris Middleton, who you acquired at the deadline. He has a $34 million player option, which he definitely takes. You've got Marcus Smart coming off the books next offseason. You've got Jordan Poole with 2 more years contract. Rashawn Holmes coming off the book. So those are kind of your older veteran players, not so much Jordan Poole, but so for the Wizards, definitely a top 3 pick as well. Not a lot of cap space, but you've got some trade chips. Middleton and Smart, maybe even Jordan Poole. But the big question I have, what is the direction for the Washington Wizards? Like, when is this window going to finally open up for this team that's been bad for so long? What do you think, Emmanuel?
Uh, I don't know with this team. I truly don't. This team is an enigma, bro. I mean, Brogdon, more than likely, he's an unrestricted free agent, right? So he's probably going to dip because nobody wants to play for the Wizard. Middleton, most likely, I mean, he might even consider retiring. He's relatively injury prone, so maybe that gets him out of that 34 million. What are you going to do here? You got Jordan Poole. I think he's pretty talented. He's on a bad team, so he's not really taking basketball seriously right now because it's the Wizards, and I think many people wouldn't either. I think if you continue to draft, they got the second pick right now, I believe, or projected to be. And I was looking at some draft mocks, and they're projected to get Dylan Harper, who I was reading up on. His NBA comparison is James Harden slash stronger Kobe White. Analysts say he's a high-firing offensive player and able to get into paint. He's a shooting guard. He's big. He has a good wingspan. So Jordan Poole and maybe Dylan Harper, and maybe if you actually start drafting right here, you can really do something here, and maybe even just some small acquisitions through the free agency. Not anything big that would like make a huge splash, but just something meaningful, good role players or something like that.
I think they need a top 2 pick by any means necessary. I mean, they cannot drop to that 3 spot at all. Like they cannot. So at the same time, I wouldn't say just let go Brogdon. I would kind of just say try to get him for less than he will think he wants. That's very difficult. I think trade Middleton. I think get what I like to call as an eye catcher. Get someone that is more or less will bring more traction around players to come to Washington.
Yeah,
That's
but
hard to do. That's
I,
really, I
who,
mean,
who do you think Middleton would even go for? He's pretty injury prone. He's old. He has a high. He's gonna be requesting a high contract.
what it could be really is it could be that they trade Middleton to a team that just needs that one extra older player for younger players or for more draft picks later on. I feel like there's quite a few young players who are not on the Wizards, but are also unhappy about their team at this very moment. I know LaMelo is one. I know LaMelo probably wouldn't want to go to Washington, right? Which would make sense.
Trading trash
But
for trash.
right, but it would at the same time they need that eye grabber like Charlotte has.
I I did. I'll wait for us to get to the Hornets part, but
Yeah, I feel
but
like they just need an eye grabbers. Maybe that be the draft pick. That's fine with me. But they need that eye grabber so they can grab somebody else along with that. And that's very hard to do with their organization because their organization is not trustworthy. Nobody knows what they've been doing over the past like 10 years. Like they had a good run with John Wall. They had a good run with Russ and Beal. Now, was one of those because of LeBron? Yes. Okay. Noted. But with Beal and Russ, that was to a Sixers group. But yet again, nobody really trusts them as an organization. So they need to bring in someone, whether it be draft pick or whatever, just to light them back up as a spot.
Yeah, what catches my eye a lot here, and as is the case with most bad teams, you've got youth, and I'm looking at just games played. Bub Carrington, 19 years old, has played every game this season, right? So he's getting experience. Not crazy numbers, averaging 9.5 a game, but if you're 19 years old, you're playing every single day. That's experience right there. You've got Jordan Poole, obviously, who's averaging 20. Keyshawn George has played a lot. Alex Sarr, your draft pick, he's averaging 13. You still got Corey Kispert. Kolibali, 20 years old, he's averaging 12.3. So they've got their kind of core there. And how many of those guys, or what the ceiling is for all those guys, is to be seen. And I don't think any of those guys are the number one option on a future Wizards championship team. But I think a positive for kind of where they're at right now is these guys are playing a lot. No pressure at all to really do anything. Just go out there and play. And I like a good core that's all around the same age and has played together. We see OKC as a great example of that. At least there's something there. And I think whoever you bring in the draft fits right in. And then maybe 2-3 years down the line when you've got some money, go bring in a superstar and now we're talking. But if they do that, of course, is to be seen. All right, Emmanuel, you just mentioned them. Charlotte Hornets. Very, very interesting team. They've kind of just been in this mediocre to below average zone with LaMelo as their star player. Third straight losing season. They're third in the draft lottery right now. LaMelo's their top dog. They also have Miles Bridges, Mark Williams.
Yes.
You've got Brandon Miller, who they drafted a few years back. These guys are kind of competitive too. Not really. No major people coming off the books this year. Seth Curry, I guess, is the most notable name. I look at this team and they've got a lot of trade options if they want to do that. LaMelo, you could see Miles Bridges get out of that contract. Yusuf Nurkic has a big contract. Try Mark Williams again. Hopefully a physical comes through because clearly you were fine getting rid of him. So Dwayne, what's the direction here for the Hornets?
First of all, I think, and this is more of a personal and organizational thing. Get LaMelo under control. He's young, obviously, so you're going to say stuff, do stuff. But even on the floor, he's not an organized player. He just isn't. And that's the brand of basketball he carries. But getting him a little bit more organized, not only as an individual, but as a player, you will start to see his game be better. He'll start to shoot better. His assists will go higher, stuff of that nature. Even getting him under control means you got to get a better second and third option scorers. And that's a necessary thing for him. I'm not going to say go get an all-star because you have trade pieces, they're not that good. But you definitely need pieces that are better than Brandon Miller, who's not shooting well from the field. You need better options than that. I'm not saying they're bad at the moment. I think Miles is definitely still a good second option, but he'd be a better third option, if that makes sense. It's not enough to keep him under control. And at the same time, if you don't get that second option, then or don't develop a second option as well, because I actually think was it Trey Man who is
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you need to develop him a lot more than Brandon Miller. I feel like he's definitely shown that he can be a good second scoring option. I won't say second best player on the team, but second best scoring option. So maybe develop him, but you definitely need better pieces around him 100%.
I hope they keep Trey Mann. I think he's an underrated player, and he's relatively cheap for that organization. He's averaging 14 points per game on 43% shooting, which is pretty good. It's really hard to say what the Hornets do. I think they have a relatively talented roster compared to the other bottom dwelling teams that we're talking about. No offense to them, except for the Spurs. Actually, except for the Spurs, you're not a bottom dwelling team. It's just unfortunate how your season ended. But compared to the other teams, they're relatively talented. I think they really just need to build up their bench a bit more. Honestly, I like Mark Williams. I think he's a great defensive guy, and I think I even like Brandon Miller. Is he inconsistent offensively? Yeah, but I mean, he still has plenty of room to grow. Maybe free agency helps him out a little bit, but I think what they're doing right now is working. Is just keep going through drafts. Your approach changes based on how LaMelo Ball feels. If LaMelo Ball starts telling you, I want to start winning now, then your approach change. Because LaMelo Ball, though he's not taking, personally, I don't think he's taking the game very seriously because they suck. Same thing with Jordan Poole. They suck. So he's not taking the game that seriously, and his play style is reflecting that. He plays like it's AAU out there. I think if he starts actually taking this seriously, this team could be really good. But their approach has to change. It's either you draft or you go through free agency or you make some huge trades to make this organization actually work for once.
I'll say this. I think his play style will not change. I feel like he will stay stagnant, regardless of how good the team gets. This whole AAU play style is all he's done. He hasn't really played on a college, you know what I'm saying? Really more on a college, more organized level. And he's been in the league for what, 2, 3 years? I just don't see him changing that. What I do see is I see him getting a better option, and then he dials back what he does, but doesn't necessarily change what he does.
I disagree. I think his playstyle hasn't changed because nothing has changed for his situation. I feel like if he went to a team that actually, like, say, hold up, give me a second. Maybe Grizzlies that might need another guard or something like that. I think his playstyle was significantly changed because that actually makes them contenders, or maybe not contenders, but at least makes them a legitimate option.
Melo and Ja on the same team. That'd be exciting. What do you guys think the trade market for LaMelo would be if they considered that?
High. Whatever.
Extremely high.
I would be almost willing to give up a lot of things for him. A lot of things.
So if you're a general manager of another team, you trust getting a guy like that?
Absolutely.
Oh, honestly, hold up. I kind of forgot. He's been a bit injured a bit. So the trade market might not be as high as I initially thought. It'll still be high, but not like Rudy Gobert level trade from the Jazz where they got like 7 picks high. Maybe like not like a Luka trade either. Like maybe not Paul George, but it would be a trade where you have a player, you give him some picks and as compensation, and maybe like 1 or 2 players, but like not a ridiculous price because he's been injured, but you know what he can be when he's good, but you're still a little wary of what his conditioning is.
How do I say this? I feel like a perfect example I'll bring up. If I'm the Pels general manager, I'm giving you DeJounte Murray and a few picks for him.
That's probably relatively low for
I was gonna throw in Herb as well.
I'm not letting you touch Herb. But Herb Jones is my guy.
I know I love Herb because Herb plays really good defense, but if I'm looking to get like that's how much I value. I'll sacrifice some defense. I'll sacrifice some great defense to get LaMelo and Zion on the same team.
Ooh, injury duo.
Yeah, we're getting the Pelicans later, but yeah.
Getting the Pelicans next, actually.
Oh, yes.
This is their worst season since 2012, 2013. So they have right now 21 wins and 55 losses. They were like a playoff team, I think, last year, and then out in the first round. Now they suck again. Whole thing. They have 4th best draft odds, not a lot of cap space. When I look at this team, the biggest question that I have is, what are we doing with Zion? Like, are we just going to keep going with it until he stays healthy? I'm looking at the contracts here. He's at $126 million over the next 3 years. You owe $65 million to DeJounte Murray in the next 2 years, and he does have a $31 million player option the next year. CJ's coming off the books next offseason at $30.6 million. You also locked up Trey Murphy for $112 million over the next 4 years. So they're paying like a playoff team, and they've got a half-decent team there. But it just wasn't working this year, and Zion Williamson has just been injured all over the place. When he's healthy, he's been inconsistent. So, Manuel, what are we doing with Zion here? You sticking with him?
We're taking a note from the Lorax, and, well, besides, I should say, burn it up in flames, but relatively, the organization right now, we're going to take a note from the Lorax and let it die, let it shrivel up. I mean, come on now. This is... I mean, what direction are they going here? They traded Brandon Ingrams. You got some draft picks. So keep going with this. Keep going with the draft pick direction. You guys are bad. Zion Williamson can't stay healthy. You put in the contract that he has to be at a certain weight or the contract is null and void. I mean, you clearly drafted wrong. He's a talented player, but he can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy, and it's an incredibly sad thing because when he was coming out of college, there was so much hype around him, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my goodness, he's gonna be so good. And I was like, he probably has to lose a couple weight, but like, but I thought it would be worth it. I thought it would get into shape because it's like in the NBA, I got to take things seriously now. And he has lost weight, but he just can't stay healthy. So I think the Pelicans either ship him. They have to ship him. They can't release him. Definitely can't release him. You got to ship him. And you got to just start going with the rebuild direction.
I think, and this is going to sound very wild, you flip the organization as a whole. You start with the GM. You go down the line. I want to put this in your mind. Let's switch up the whole entire organization. Let's say this is heat culture. They're having none of that. Heat culture is having none of that. Think of teams where the standard is high from the get-go. Not because, oh, now my players gain weight. Now I need to set restrictions. No. From the get-go, you are doing this or you are not with us, point blank, period. So I feel like that, first of all, is a mistake on the organization and they need to reset. Now, when it comes to the players themselves, I struggle with that because if your organization is not in check, your players are not in check. I mean, that's just the truth.
Hey,
so
CJ McCollum's in check.
But that's what I'm saying. He's an older player who's been on other teams, and he understands that already. But these younger players do not. Why? Because you're letting them run rampant. It's just the truth. They didn't if they already placed a restriction on Zion Williamson when he came in the league originally, they would be a much more different team. Now, injuries, sometimes you can't comprehend those. Like that can be computed, but it's not necessarily something you always are able to predict, as we can see with many of other players. I think it starts with the organization first. At the same time, if they get a high draft pick, they need to trade that pick. I don't think this is a time for rebuild necessarily. Not yet. I'll say that. Not yet. I feel
not yet. When? I mean, they traded Brandon Ingram and got tons of picks back.
Give him 2 more seasons.
Zion?
Yeah, I'm saying give him 2 more seasons.
Why? It's insanity. You're just repeating the same thing you did every other season. Just
that's
let him
go. But that's worked for other organizations. I understand. I understand it does sound crazy because it is crazy. It's the definition of insanity. Yes. But at the same time, I see this differently. I see this as an organization's fault. Not necessarily you start to rebuild the players. The players are running rampant because the organization doesn't have any control over their players right now.
What players? It's just Zion. Zion's literally the only trouble you have there. Jose Alvarado plays well. Trey Murphy plays well. CJ McCollum plays well. Not DeJounte Murray. I said Trey Murphy.
I know. I'm saying DeJounte Murray is part of that problem as well.
Okay, you got 2 players. I mean,
how is your top players?
Your top 2 guys.
You need to.
That sounds like a player problem to me because DeJounte Murray was the same problem with the Spurs, with the Hawks. That's a player problem. That's not an organization problem. That's a player problem.
You put him in a different organization where they don't do that stuff. It's different. The Spurs were one, and he did not fall in the suit. And guess what? They shipped him out of there.
Did the Hawks? He's there. That's like I said. That's not an organization.
But they're not even doing that. I think you're missing it. I'm not saying that it's not entirely their faults. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, as an organization, you crack down on it first. And if you crack down on it and it's still not working, then you ship them off. That's what I see for the Pels. I don't see that for any other team. The only 2 organizations, in my opinion, in the worst 2 in the league are the Wizards and the Pels.
Let me ask you a quick question. What has DeJounte Murray really done that's been out of line?
Well, first of all, techs. He has gotten plenty of those. Second of all, he has had, I'll say, quite a few off the court stuff that has not been terribly great. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Okay, so let's apply this. Would you apply the same thing to Anthony Edwards?
Yes.
You apply the same thing to Anthony Edwards.
Yes, I believe no matter how much of a great player he is out of line. I think so. You can keep the arrogance, you can keep the cockiness, but there's a certain level of things that you represent the organization as well. Now, DeJounte Murray isn't that. DeJounte Murray doesn't represent the Pels organization. Zion does. And still, that's a bad look on your team, which I'm not saying is not their fault.
No,
I
no, no,
just
no. No. I agree with you here. I was just trying to see. I was just making sure you would keep this joint consistent.
oh no, yeah.
No. You being consistent here. So I appreciate that, and
No, I feel like
I have no problem with this
that
anymore.
was a great example though. I feel like that's a great example though. Anthony Edwards is a mess. He is. He's young and he's messy. Pause.
18 years. 18 years. He got one of your children for 18
That
years.
like stuff shenanigans like that now goes on to the organization. And if the organization doesn't, have a one-on-one with him, that's bad. No matter where your team is, no matter like you could be a top team in the league. If Shea had that problem as a top team in the league, I would
Never be
still
Mr. Consistent.
well,
Never.
I would still address it in that same way. So I feel like it's the same thing even with Zion because Zion has had quite a few scandals while he's been there. So I think they are not addressing it, and that's why they are the way they are. So flip the entire organization.
The same question as LaMelo. What is Zion's trade market?
It
You want to
really
take this?
depends. Yeah, it really depends. If he's healthy, do you even trade him?
If he's healthy.
Right.
Well, let's look at it. His age 19 season played 24 games, averaged 22 and a half. Age 20 season plays 61 games, averages 27 and is an all-star. Misses his age 21 season. Age 22, just 29 games, but 26 points a game. Age 23 was his longest season. They make the playoffs. He plays 70 games, averages about 23, 6, and 5. And this year he played 30 games, averaged 24 and a half.
Yeah, that little streak of inconsistency there, the amount of games played for me, that definitely devalues him in the trade market. We obviously, he's clearly a beast when he's on the court, though.
Right.
I think we all agree with that. However, when you're looking at a team, and I think I'm pretty sure Stephen A said this best. There's nothing better than availability. The best ability is availability. If you aren't available, you're not going to really help us, and I don't really want you on my team. Those games when he plays, they could be early season games, but like I need you there because if you get hurt maybe beginning of the season and you don't come back until late season and my team sucks without you, we're not making it to the playoffs, and those games you played were completely useless to us. Yeah, I mean, you just need to be healthy. And I think maybe some teams willing to risk it for the biscuit, but like if I was the GM, I'm not doing it.
I look at it this way. If I can help him get healthy and stay healthy, as a GM, I'm taking it. If I can contribute to that.
But what's the trade market looking like? What we offering here for this?
First thing that comes to my mind is like a swap of bad contracts. Like a team that's looking for his position and then the position that you need, and you kind of just swap bad situations and hope for the best. I feel like that's the only way out of it because you're not going to – I don't think you get a good draft pick or anything out of him because of the inconsistency.
I think you could get two solid players out of it. I'm not saying all-stars. I would say players that are would be a good example.
Maybe Kevin Durant.
I mean,
for Zion.
Kevin Durant on the Pelicans.
I mean, here's the thing about that's not. If you look at it for both organizations, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, I feel like he's at least two solid players, or at least a draft pick at the most.
Speaking of big contracts to health concerned players, Philadelphia 76ers are up next. They're missing the playoffs for the first time in 7 seasons, and as a Sixers fan, it is going to be weird. Even though we're not going to make it out of the second round, it's at least nice to have some playoff basketball every year. And maybe we were a little too used to it and spoiled. Took it for granted. Okay. So Sixers, a couple free agents. Yabusele, he's hitting the market, and he's probably going to get some good offers. Kyle Lowry is out the door. Quentin Grimes, who has been their star player over the last month or so, he's a restricted free agent. And, he's earned himself a pretty big bag with the way he's been playing. You've got player options for Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, Eric Gordon. And then, of course, it's the big two, Joel Embiid, Paul George. Joel Embiid is owed $248 million over the next 4 seasons. Paul George, $162 million over the next 3 seasons. You're also paying Tyrese Maxey a buttload, but he earned that bag. And
He's worth it, unlike
he's
the
fine.
other two.
We've talked about them before earlier on, and I'm sure we're all saying the same things. But as now we're officially out of the playoffs, we look ahead to the off season. What's the plan, Dwayne?
I have two options because I'm tired of this. Oh, we don't know where we are. Two options: either we're blowing up the entire organization, the entire thing. I mean, from head to toe. I mean, we're talking from the GM to the 12th man on the roster. I'm tired of it. I am. I'm tired of being consistently good enough to get into the playoff and consistently lose.
The Utah Jazz.
Like that, exactly. Like that when they had Donovan Mitchell, they were getting the playoffs, be a really solid season team, and then lose. I am not trying to be the Utah Jazz. I am trying to be a winning organization. And when I hear our GM is talking about, oh, I asked AI how to do things, that's where we're at. Like, no, either we blow it up or we keep it the way it is and just suffer more. There's no in between. This is insanity. This is what you call insanity. This organization is insanity personified. Like this is absurd. We blow it up. We trade Embiid, hopefully for a younger, better player that a team doesn't want, or even draft picks. That's if anybody wants him because he's so injury prone. That's one. Two, you keep McCain, you keep Maxey, you let go of Yabusele, you let go. Yes, I said it. You let go of Lowry.
Okay.
You keep Grimes.
If we can.
You let go of Oubre, and you keep
What?
Drummond.
Wait,
That's up to
Let-
Oubre. That's up to Oubre. He's got
That's up
a
to Oubre.
$8
He
million
better
player
stay. I
option.
love that man.
I love Kelly Oubre too. I think he's a great wing player. And not now, obviously not a top 20 wing player, but still a great wing player. But at the same time, if we're shipping everybody off, why would he want to stay on another team that's buns?
we wouldn't be buns. We would have Tyrese Maxey, Jared
It's
McCain.
not enough. It's not
you would
enough.
have well, you said
I would
keeper.
ship both of you. I would ship both of y'all.
You would have Quentin Grimes. That's Jared
It's
McCain.
not enough.
And
It's not enough. I mean, if I'm looking at Kelly Oubre, to me, that's not enough. I just came from teams, the Suns, the Hornets, where there wasn't a lot of good options, and I was the like number 2 or 3 option, and we sucked. So if I'm looking at as Kelly Oubre and we ship everybody off, heck no, I'm out of there. That's one. By keeping Drummond, you still have a big man. By keeping who did I say? By keeping Grimes, you still have that catch and shoot scorer because we know Maxey and McCain are mainly going to be on ball. And that's if they decided to blow up, which to me, I'm tired of being the same team. So I'd rather be a team that's rebuilding, restarting, getting a fresh new look. Heck, give Embiid a fresh new look. That's fine. Give him. Let's see what he does. Let's be proud of him if he does well. I want you to think about something. Ben Simmons is in the playoffs, and the Sixers aren't. Ben Simmons, who we dogged the mess out of, made him. Now he's terribly worse as a
and
player.
Tobias Harris and Doc Rivers.
Like all those dudes, we were like, they're the issue. But then all of a sudden, they're in the playoffs on different teams. To me, that sounds like an us issue. And that sounds like from the top to the bottom.
Okay, well, here's my take on the situation. Yabusele, more than likely, we're gonna have to keep. Grimes, more than likely, he's a restricted free agency. Teams clearly see how valuable he is. I don't think we're going to be able to. He's restricted. I don't think we're going to be able to match the offers that he's more than likely going to be able to get. So he'll probably go to an actual contender. So we'll probably keep Yabusele. I say we let Lowry walk, keep Lonnie Walker, keep Oubre. I say we even let Drummond walk if he needs to, if he wants to accept it or not. I'm okay with that. I think Adam Bona is a certified dog.
He dropped like 28 last night.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I think he's a pretty good defender as well. Offensively, he may need some more work, but like
Right.
that's okay. He's not going to be a starter. I want him to be a bench or a backup, a bench player. Here's my thing. As a Sixers fan, I'm naturally inclined to delusion. It's a natural thing for Sixers fan. Embiid just got his knee surgery done. I am willing to let him come back for one more year. If the organization in Embiid actually lets him heal. The organization needs to stop pushing him to come back and play on the knee, and he needs to stop pushing himself to do so. We know he's a skilled player. We just need him to actually stay healthy, and he can do it if we don't keep working him on broken knees and things that just recovered from.
All right, you ready for this? You ready?
Go ahead.
They idiots, because they're idiots. Both of them, both Joel and the organization are crazy. They are insane. They are crazy,
but
delusional.
They're actually taking it seriously now that they know what's going to happen to Embiid. Because they were seriously considering medical retirement. Not the entire time we've been playing with Joel Embiid have we ever considered that. We have came to a different point in the situation with Embiid. It's now or never.
I'm going to be honest. When we look at this, right? I really want you to think about this. We are being the crazy the man that stays with the toxic woman, like that keeps on hurting us, and we keep on going back. This is what we are if we do that. Do you understand that?
That's why I said one more year. If it doesn't work out, we can just let him go.
We keep on doing one more year.
Well, we won't do it next year. Look.
Keep on doing one more year.
We won't do one more year. Like I said, this isn't just a repeat of Joel Embiid's cycle. We came to a different juncture here. It's all or nothing. That's what this knee surgery was. All or nothing. If he can't play on it, then we get the medical retirement and we get the refund, and he still gets paid, but we get the money. And if he does play well on that knee and it does heal properly, then we have an MVP caliber center on our team.
And we'll still lose in the playoffs.
Not with the team we have. That's why we the team we have. If we keep Oubre, we're gonna lose Grimes. We have Yabusele. We have Lonnie Walker. We would have Jared McCain back. Tyrese Maxey, Paul George can do whatever. He'll probably kick rocks.
That's the issue. That's part of the issue. We have he is such a big contract and such a liability.
That's why we're not sending him. That's why we're not sending him. He'll probably get traded during the offseason or something. He's not staying here. He's not staying here for another season.
Let's think about this. We rather where Embiid could have some value after his surgery. Let's be for real. After this surgery, he could have some value. Let's say he plays the next season, right? Gets injured, same dude. His value drops again, and we will not get the same things that we will now.
He doesn't have value now after the knee surgery.
With the knee surgery, he possibly has value now being healthy.
He doesn't possibly be healthy. He's had multiple surgeries before. This is no different. The value hasn't changed.
Then why do we still have him?
Because
it's no different.
Because if we let him play, we can see if he has value or not. If he plays bad, he doesn't have value, and we just gotta let him go next year. It's as simple as that. But if he plays well, he has good value. He's valuable to us. He's valuable to other teams. Teams see this. He's staying healthy. They want him now. That's what we're doing here. We can't trade him now. There's nobody that's going to want somebody that's as injury prone as Joel Embiid right now, even after the surgery.
The Mavs wanted AD. It could go anywhere.
First of all, the Mavs are idiots.
We could have gotten Luka.
Oh my God, that's the point. Because there's multiple organizations that are idiots.
There's nobody that stupid besides
the Wizards and the
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 Wizards aren't
Pels.
even Wizards. Pelicans aren't as stupid as the Mavericks organization owner
Oh
is
my
right now.
God.
There's nobody stupider than him. That's the worst trade of NBA history. Worst trade of NBA history. No organization has that under their belt except for the Mavericks. You don't get stupider than having the title of worst trade in NBA history.
One positive note for the Sixers is that we most likely are going to keep our draft pick, and we don't have to worry about the Thunder having another one. Must be a top
That's
6
why you
pick.
blow up the team.
We have the 5th best odds. Chances are, at worst, number 6 overall pick. What do you guys want to do with that pick? What's the type of player you'd be
Trade
looking
up.
for? Or trade up?
Replacement for Paul George, please. Just
Trade up.
Trade up.
Let me ask you
I
this.
need a forward.
Where are the Hawks in this? The Hawks. Because if the Hawks were interested in picking up Paul George, I did see that. That was very strange. So if the Hawks have a higher possibility of getting a draft pick higher, we do that trade 100%.
So the Hawks may move up because they have the Kings pick. If the Kings end up right where they're supposed to be, like 13th, 14th pick, the Hawks get that.
That's what we do.
Oh wait, are we the 7th pick right now?
Right now we're 5th. In lottery, 5th best odds in lottery.
Mm-hmm.
But
so the highest odds for the 6th pick of each pick.
That's what
are
I'm saying.
Most
Trade
likely
up.
6th pick.
Because we need to trade up.
So what I'm hearing is OKC has a pinch of, just a chance of
Emmanuel, lock in as a Sixer. Lock in as a Sixer. Lock in as a
26.7% chance it goes to OKC.
Lock in as a Sixer, Emmanuel.
I'm looking at a mock draft right now, and I'm looking at the Brooklyn Nets, and I'm looking at a power forward. We need a forward. Derek Queen, previous mock position. This is by NBA.
So we need a forward.
Yeah, like a small forward. I mean, he plays power forward.
Oh,
we can do something like that, right? So he's from Maryland. Power forward is a center. He's currently put at 6 by getting drafted by the Brooklyn Nets. Age 20, nationality USA. Pro comparison, Alperen Sengun.
That's huge.
I could use a Sengun.
Scouts are saying he has an impressive production, high skill level, feel, and passing IQ. However, he has poor shooting and suspect defensive projection.
Okay, as long as it is an injury, we're good.
Then there's some more stuff there where he has unique ball handling and footwork, but also, I mean, he's also heavier set back, and he's like the more traditional big that we had before, like the 2020s or 2010s. Anyways.
Like Jokic just heavy set as I don't know what, but
another guy I've seen us connected to Kasparis Jakusionis from Illinois. He is listed as a point guard, shooting guard, but he's 6'6". So I don't think that's what he is.
Small forward.
Yeah, I think he could easily move over.
He's getting dogged by most small forwards at 6'6".
He's 6'6", 200.
6'6", 205, yeah.
Never mind. Yeah, he's good.
Freshman at Illinois. Average 17, 6, and 5.
Pro comparison, Chauncey Billups.
As a freshman. Oh, yeah, that we might have to steal that.
19 years old.
We might have to steal that.
All right, moving to a rival of the Sixers, the Nets.
Oh, yeah.
And they may be in the best situation this offseason. It's their 2nd straight losing season, 6th best draft odds. They also have the best draft capital. They also have the best situation cap-wise. So this could be a very big offseason for the Nets. Only really 2 big financial holds. You've got Nick Claxton, $69 million for the next 3 years, and you've got Cam Johnson, $43 million over the next 2 years, but his name has definitely been up as a guy that they would look to trade. You've got D'Lo hitting the market, Watford, and restricted free agents, Williams, Sharp, and Cam Thomas. So, Manuel, Nets, is this a big offseason for them?
I think this will be a big offseason for them. Now, see, Cam Thomas is a good player. However, the thing here for me is his he's a high-powered offensive guy. And I'm thinking about teams, he's a restricted free agent. So I'm thinking about teams, how much they were willing to offer and bring up that price that forced the Nets to pay. I'm wondering if, I have a feeling that NBA teams won't bring up that price that much. I think it'll be pretty reasonable And I think Sharp's gonna have. I think he's gonna have a pretty high contract coming in. I mean, what do you think, Dwayne? Speak
Dayron
up,
Sharp.
huh?
Dayron Sharp.
You're saying Dayron Sharp?
Yes.
Yeah, you're saying that people are going to try to grab Dayron Sharp.
His
No, no, no,
market
no,
value is at 12 million. Cam
no, no, no,
Thomas
no,
is
no.
at 12.1.
I think they're gonna bring. I think they're gonna bring up the price for him. Not that they
Absolutely not.
legitimately want it. I think
Absolutely not.
they're making the Nets pay more than what they need to.
Get
Which
your
is it?
entire
Which is
take. Get your entire take out because I have a
okay.
whole. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the Nets should. I think they should go here. They have the pieces to do what they need to do. They just need to make this organization not the laughing stock of the league because they don't play like an NBA team. They play like this is a pickup game, and I think they need a system here, and they need somebody that doesn't just chuck up shots. Looking at you, Cam Thomas, though you do make them at a high percent. You do make them, but like you're a good player. But like if you actually get a system going on here, I think this is a really competitive team depending on what they do during the offseason.
I'll go down the list here. What I have. Okay, you trade for an all-star. I feel like this team has a lot of solid options, but no number one option. That's one. Two, you let go of D'Lo. D'Lo is shooting mad inefficient when he was on the Lakers and when he was here. So get rid of D'Lo. You trade for a player like Trae Young. You have the pieces for it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You do have the pieces for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you put Trae Young on a team like that where his options are a lot better. I feel like they are not only they are a much better team, but Trae Young becomes a much better situation. Or you trade for someone like John Morant. Now,
John Morant.
you trade for him. You make an attempt. I'm not saying you can necessarily go grab Ja, but you should definitely make an attempt. His antics is another whole thing that I will touch on another day. Ja's antics. Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, for Brook, never mind. Anyways, yeah. Anyways, you let D'Lo walk. You keep Thomas, but the whole point is that they need to trade for an all-star that can be their number one option. Not only do they have a whole bunch of solid pieces for trade, but you put someone a all-star in that, they are where the Pacers should be or the Pistons. Like they're not a top two team in their conference, but they're definitely a top five team in their conference with that move. I think it should be a guard because I don't think Cam Thomas is a good point guard. I think it needs to be a guard that can facilitate. Trae Young just fits that perfectly. If LaMelo was on the table, which I don't think so, but if LaMelo, then LaMelo.
So how about instead of John Morant? Because personally, I think defense wins championship.
Okay.
We take a shot. We
Anthony
dribble.
Davis.
We take a step back. JJJ, Triple J.
I
Jaren
thought about
Jackson
it.
Jr.
I thought about it, but at the same time, I think their big man core is good enough. They have Nick Claxton and Cam Johnson, who is a great power forward, mind you.
I'm still taking Jaren Jackson Jr. over him any day. I feel like you can
I know
find a
I can.
serviceable point guard. Maybe even TJ McConnell as your point guard from the Pacers.
I don't see that. I don't think
Cam
that's
Johnson's
enough.
name has come up a lot in guys that they are going to look to trade because he's got 43 million owed to him
That's
over
what
the
I'm
next
saying.
2
Yeah,
years.
he came from Suns.
So I'm saying if he's a trade market and you're looking for somebody that could replace him and you have the assets, the Grizzlies, they might be very well sitting on a fire and trying to hide it from everybody without anybody else knowing.
I believe so.
So why not, entice them a little bit with the trade, get Jaren Jackson over there and make a small free agent pickup or trade for TJ McConnell, who's he's a pretty good, he definitely can be a starting
It's my guy.
point guard. So and you look there, you don't lose too much, and you keep the pieces that make you a very well respectable team.
Let's say they do pick up TJ, Let's say they do pick it up Jared Jackson. So you still need that point guard role to be a facilitator. I'm not saying this is the best of the best. If the one came to mind, Mike Conley. He's older. The Minnesota is definitely looking to get rid of him. He's a vet. He's been in these playoffs. He's led a team before, and I think him as a facilitator is great.
I still prefer TJ McConnell because one, he hustles hard. Two, he's a good shooter. He's a pretty good shooter. Three, he plays good defense, and he's relatively young compared to Mike Conley as well.
All right, how about the Raptors? This is a team I think that similar. They could be a competitive team as soon as next year. This is just kind of a weird season. They've had two straight losing seasons, but they've got a solid core. You got Scotty Barnes locked up. You've got Brandon Ingram, who you got the deadline. That was a confusing move, but you've got him for the next two seasons plus a player option. You've got Manuel Quickly. You've got RJ Barrett. All these guys are locked up for at least the next 2 years. Seventh best draft odds. They just picked up the option on their coach. So they're sticking with the system. Manuel, what are your thoughts on the Raptors?
They have a short window here to be legit. Very, very short window because those contracts are slowly sneaking up on you guys, and you better start running when they do. You got to pay Emmanuel quickly. You have Scotty Barnes locked up. You got to pay RJ Barrett. More than likely, you got to pay RJ Barrett. You got Brandon Ingram's contract on you guys. It's very conspicuous. You guys are trying to marry. I can't say that. You're trying to marry. You're trying to marry. You're cuffing yourself to these players, and you guys don't exactly have the funds to do this. So you have an opening here, and you got to shoot for it.
I think see how Scotty and Ingram work first. That's a very interesting duo there because their play styles, for one. Scotty and Ingram are very high in the mid range and midi area. For that, that's really hard to have two mid range players. Very hard to do that. I feel like they're going to lose quickly. I want them to pay them because I think he deserves that type of money. I think other teams are going to press that higher and higher for him, and I don't think they're going to be able to keep him. But at the same time, I think RJ will take a little bit less money based off playing for his home and trying to get a chip from it at his home.
Yeah, Barrett's owed $57 million over the next 2 years. So he'll hit free agency at age 27, I think. Quickly is locked up till 2029 at $130 million total. He's just 25, so he'll be around the similar age when he hits free agency. But yeah, if you're looking at next year's payroll, estimated $38 million for Scotty, $38 million for Ingram, $32 million for Quickly, $27 million for Barrett. Jacob Podol owed $19.5 million.
That's a lot of money there.
So they're paying a lot of money to be sitting outside of the playoffs. I feel like if you trade one
so
of those
are the
guys,
Sixers too.
Well, yeah,
we're idiots though.
I feel like Quickly's probably the best trade bait out of those four names. Quickly or Barrett?
Probably. I would probably go. Yeah, Manuel Quickly. He's young.
Yeah.
Well, I would say a lot younger. He's
that
younger.
Would suck if they trade him now.
Oh my goodness! But I would love to see him on a contender though.
Don't forget Grady Dick. He needs his extension in 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Don't.
Real quickly, just to wrap it up, San Antonio Spurs. This was a season from hell for them. Lots of hype around year two with Wemby. Teamed up with a lot of that young core there. Then Wemby goes down with a blood clot. Popovich has to call it quits for the season with his health issues. Got De'Aaron Fox, and he got hurt. So eyes are forward to next season. Just kind of scrap this one. Obviously, it kind of resolves around Wemby's status. How soon can he get back? Is he at full strength? That's an injury that you don't see too often, so you can't really give it a timetable for basketball. But hey, they're going to have a pretty high draft pick as well. Right now, they're the 8th best odds, so they could find themselves top 10 draft pick to add to this young core, or potentially trade that pick if you want to bring in another piece. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on the Spurs offseason?
My personal opinion, if Wemby's back, they're good for the next 5 years with or without that draft pick. With that draft pick, I think, holy cow, this team could be absolutely terrifying in 1 or 2 years. They're already scary to look at. Just next season, if Wemby is in it, if Wemby and De'Aaron Fox are healthy, they're already scary of a duo. Then you add the draft pick on top of that, and whoever that be, because from the 1 to the 3, it's just kind of like, okay, we are dealing with some great drafts this year. They have Castle as well, who is just shaping up to be a better player than majority of that team who's been there for like 2+ years. Sorry, Keldon Johnson, but Castle is about to be better than you you're seeing improvements from these young guys who just got here. Give them a year or two with that draft pick, and we're gonna see another Spurs dynasty.
So I haven't done my research on like what Wemby's timetable is, but let's say maybe he's delayed start next season. And let's say for 2 months they have to rock with De'Aaron Fox as the top dog with that young core. You think they're in a good position by the time Wemby comes back?
Yes.
Yeah. I'll say this about the Spurs. First of all, I'll start off with saying, Chris Paul, I'll be sad to see you go in retirement. You had one hell of a career. What you need to do, and then we're making it. I'm having this mindset with the expectation that either Wemby's good to go or he's slightly delayed for the start of the season. It is perfect, down to the last minute detail. It is perfect. Do not touch it.
Mm-hmm.
You can only add to it. Draft, do whatever you do. Do not touch it. It is perfect. You got you got a talented young team. You got plenty of draft picks. You got a promising young star. You got De'Aaron Fox. You got you got Stephon Castle. We got Keldon Johnson. This team is great and it's only going to get better. Do not touch it. This is perfect, especially with the mindset. Remember, this is the mindset that Victor Wembanyama is coming back either early this season or he's going to be healthy before the season even starts.
I do pose a question though, because this was in talks. Do you trade for KD?
I have seen that. Yeah, I wouldn't. Clearly, he throws off every team he goes to.
Think outside of an OKC fan for a second.
I'm not even thinking of an OKC fan. I'm thinking of the Spurs fan. If I was a Spurs fan, I would say absolutely not. I would say I dare you to touch one of my players. I dare you to trade for him. I would dare the GM to do it.
Castle in your first rounder from this year.
That first rounder from this year is too much. Well,
I want to
trading Castle is too much.
I agree. I just wanted to pose out the question, play a little bit of devil's advocate there, like see what you would say. KD on that team with Wemby and De'Aaron is quite lethal for the next 2 years.
Durant on the Suns with Beal and Booker was quite lethal as well, wasn't it?
I mean, that's an organization issue.
KD with James Harden and Kyrie, that was quite lethal.
Pretty lethal.
Yeah.
So would you not consider using this year's draft pick to maybe bring in not a starter, but like a veteran depth person on the bench, just to stretch out the team?
For a center, maybe, because their center position besides Victor Wembanyama is really.
Your backups, your three other centers are hitting free agency. Bassie, I'm not saying that name, and Bismack Biyombo.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not good backup centers. You would need something there until Victor Wembanyama comes back.
Maybe the Sixers let go of Drummond. They pick up Drummond.
That wouldn't be too bad of a choice. They would have plenty of scoring and 3-point shooting there to suffice for Drummond's lack of efficiency from there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that just about does it. Those are the 8 teams out of the playoffs right now. In the air, the Blazers and the Suns. We'll see if any of them can sneak into the play-in. And then the playoffs will start, and we'll be breaking that down when we can. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.